Entry 26, the spell I hid in the garden. It's still buried there. Under the roots of an ash tree I planted the same year everything changed. I didn't expect it to last this long. I thought the soil would take it. Break it down, pull the spell apart like compost. But the earth remembers, and sometimes it answers in ways you didn't plan for. This entry isn't about glamour spells or big rituals. It's about what happens when you hide your magic, and the land keeps it alive. It was a jar spell. Small, quiet, wrapped in black thread and sealed with wax. Inside it, a piece of my own hair. The name of someone I couldn't forget. Rose thorns, ash leaves, salt, a whisper written on parchment. Let this fade where I cannot. It was meant to be a letting go spell, to bury the last thread of something I couldn't carry anymore. I didn't say a chant, didn't cast a circle. I dug in silence just after midnight, and I pressed the jar deep into the soil. I didn't expect the garden to notice, but it did. The next morning, nothing looked different. The hole was covered. The wax was sealed. The ash tree seedling stood just like it had the day before. But 3 days later, the garden changed. The soil in that spot stayed damp, even in heat. Moss crept over the area like a blanket, darker than the rest. And the tree? It grew faster than it should have. Not unnaturally fast, but just enough to make you frown and wonder if time had bent slightly around it. At first I thought it was beautiful, that the spell had been accepted, that maybe the earth was helping me heal. But the dreams started 2 weeks later. They weren't nightmares, not exactly, but they were unsettling. Dreams of digging, of someone watching from the hedges, of the jar pulsing underground like a heartbeat, of whispers coming up from the soil. I ignored them, until the tree split. The trunk didn't break, it cracked down the middle. Not from wind, not from rot, but from something trying to move through it. That's when I knew. I hadn't buried a letting go spell. I'd planted a binding, that whisper. Let this fade where I cannot. Wasn't a release. It was a command, a hope disguised as closure. And the land? It followed my will. Too well. It took me months to realize what I'd done, even longer to admit it. I hadn't let go. I'd pressed pause, and buried the ache instead of breaking it. But the land doesn't work like that. Soil doesn't forget, and magic planted grows, even the kinds you think you've outgrown. I went back to the tree in early spring. The crack in the trunk had widened. Ants were nesting there. The leaves were dark at the tips, not dying but holding something. And I could feel it, even standing meters away. The spell hadn't faded. It had rooted, so I did what I was afraid to do from the start. I dug it back up. It wasn't easy. The moss fought me. The soil resisted, as if pulling against the spade. But once I reached the jar, I didn't need to open it to know what I'd find. The wax was cracked. The salt had clumped like stone. The paper inside had browned, but not decayed. Even underground, the message had stayed intact. I held it and whispered, "You don't belong here anymore." Then I burned it. Ash to ash, salt to smoke, hair to flame. And that night, I finally dreamed of silence. The tree still stands. It's never split again, but it's not the same tree. It leans slightly, like it remembers. And maybe that's what this is all about. The land remembers what you bury in it, so bury only what you're ready to release. And speak only truth into the soil, because the earth listens. Witch's notes: never bury a spell until you know these things. Is this spell a release or a reaction? Are you using the earth as an ally or a hiding place? Have you cleansed the item before burying it? Are you asking the land's permission or just taking space? Because magic that isn't respected becomes magic that resists. And the garden will show you whether you're ready or not.